Going to have to repeat myself a little bit here once this gets started. Sorry. All right, so now that we got the recording here, this meeting will meet Monday and Wednesdays at 11 normally. Today is the only day that we'll meet on a Tuesday. And please ignore any messages that say meeting at noon or meeting at 9 a.m. We meet at 11. And the book is already included with the course. It's got a link over here on the left, the course ebook. And I apologize once again for redoing this, but I have to get this in the recording. When you click on the link for the ebook, you can then access the book by clicking on this link here, and it'll pull up in another tab, and then you can read the book and go through the chapters, go to the table of contents, and go to whatever chapter or page that you need. You can also search the book for topics, etc. All right. So here, like I said, we'll meet Mondays and Wednesdays at 11. This is the channel and teams that we meet in, and here's the actual link to the meeting, the weekly meeting. Let's see if this works. This wasn't working earlier. Let's see here. If you need access to certain district software, that's cloud.tccd.edu, our virtual machines. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's working. But you, when it's working, you can go to the cloud.tccd.edu and you can actually check out a virtual machine. Hopefully Wednesday it'll be working, and I'll show you. But yeah, if you go to cloud.tccd.edu, we have a site that allows you to get virtual machines, and it has a lot of software that's already pre-installed and configured, like Packet Tracer and things like that. We're not going to be using that in this course, but just want to make it aware that it is out there, and there are machines available in case you didn't want to install some certain district software. A lot of the machines have the software already installed, but it's not working today. All right. So I'm going to go to the Start Here section, and I'm just going to go through this information fairly quickly, but you can read it at your own leisure. But my goal is to answer your emails and Hangouts or Teams posts, discussion board posts within 2 days. They ask me posts, and I'll go over those. There are special discussion board posts to ask me questions. Usually it'll be the same day, but please, you know, if I haven't responded within 2 days, for sure, re-ask your question or contact me, because it may have got slipped through all the emails and things that come through. And then I tend to answer emails during my office hours. Like I said, I tend to answer them all day, as long as I'm not teaching. And then, as far as grading, my goal is to get your assignments done within 5 days of receipt, usually much quicker, but please, especially once we get in the swing of the class, it may take me several days before I actually get to grading your assignment. Assignments are normally due on Sunday, and so then by Friday, you should have a grade for anything you submitted on Sunday, by Sunday. But like I said, it would probably be sooner than that, but things do happen. Attendance. So this is an online class, but we do still have attendance. We have been told that the best way to do this is by assignments being turned in. So I've just listed here the Sundays that assignments are due. So basically every Sunday is the attendance day. If you've turned in some assignments for the week, you'll get marked as being present for the week. If you haven't turned anything in, for the week, you'll be marked absence. And then I'll probably, like on the 24th, it'll probably be the 25th or 26th that I will go through and see who submitted anything during the week of the 24th, and go by the timestamps for the submitted assignments from Blackboard. Blackboard gives me the time that homework was submitted. So thus, if it's the 26th and you submitted everything, but you submitted it on the 25th, you're going to be marked absence for the 24th, because if you didn't turn it in, if you turned it in late, so you'll get marked absent. Office hours, these are my official office hours. Monday 1 to 4, Wednesday 1 to 4, and Tuesday and Thursday 1 to 3. But I'm pretty much available 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Basically 7 days a week. I try to be available as long as I'm not teaching, et cetera, or already in a meeting. But these are my official office hours. So you're sure that I'll be available, well, at least unless I'm with somebody. And Friday by appointment, but I have to have official office hours, and so those are my official office hours. But please feel free to reach out at any time. As far as scheduling meetings, I made it fairly easy. I mean, you can email me, you can send me a Teams request or Google Hangout request or whatever, or you can send this Calendly invite tool that I have. You can just click on it, and it will open up a calendar. You just pick the date, and it'll show what available times I have for meetings. I might have to, I don't have to update it because I have a class at 5 to 7, so that's why. So you can see when I'm available and when I'm not available, and you can just click on it, say, this is when you wanted to meet, confirm it, put your name and your email address, and then schedule the event, and then I'll get notified. That's an easy way to do a meeting. You don't have to use this. I just set it up as a quick, easy tool. If you do want to, if you want to find out if I'm available, because this will read my calendar, and if it says I'm available, I should be available, and it just makes it easy to make appointments. Just a little bit about me. I've got pretty lengthy statements in here, but I'll just get the highlights here. Have several years of technology experience, last 10 years at a Fortune 50 financial services company. They had over 160,000 employees. I started off at that company as a security analyst, and led some major large security teams, and then I went in and ran some teams and built some teams, some large teams, bringing in certain enterprise applications. And so I did both security and regular day-to-day operations and training and that. So that's where I really fell in love with teaching and training new technicians. And so that's why I'm now here at TCC teaching, because I found that I really enjoy teaching and sharing my knowledge. But I've done just about everything, a little bit of everything, including running, wearing the hat. I was a network manager was my title, but I was basically the manager of a school district with over 22 sites and locations. And so I had a team of 7, and we did everything. So I like I say, I've gotten experience doing just about everything you could possibly do in a network, and security wise, although now they're coming out with some new stuff, but I'm getting into the cloud, and I'm going to be leading the cloud program here at TCC. And so and one of my last projects at my company was to actually build a self-service cloud portal for the employees to use. So we had our own internal cloud that we built, and still staying relevant in that area. And like I said, you can read a little bit more about what I've done, but especially for this class being in security focused, I feel I have a pretty good lens and experience having dealt with security at a third level analyst and then also an auditor. I have a lot of good insight into this field and into this topic. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions, and hopefully I can provide some more real world experience as we go through this class. And the syllabus talks about office hours, our book, right? So the Principles of Information 6th edition, it's already included in the course, but then we have these JB Learning labs. So you do need to go and purchase the labs. They are not a part of the course fee. They're additional. And so if you go out to JB Learning, and I do apologize, they are expensive, but they are really decent labs. And so you go out and purchase these labs and then get that set up. Once you get this, they'll give you an access code. It's a 10 key or 10-digit access code. And then you'll use that to set up the labs. And then I'll have a 6-digit course code. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But make sure you purchase the labs. That'll get you your 10-digit redemption code. Grading, the course grade is 20% for homework, 20% for quizzes, 20% for labs, 30% for the exams, 3 exams, and then a 10% comprehensive final exam. So we'll do some homework. The labs from the JB Learnings, they're pretty in-depth, and they'll give some hands-on experience with several tools and utilities. They're pretty decent labs, especially about some scanning and vulnerabilities and things of that nature. So they're pretty decent labs in network tracing and some other useful utilities. Quizzes, they are open book, open notes, and can be done unlimited amount of times. They'll roughly have 10 to 20 questions, but your best resource for studying for the exam is to do the quizzes multiple times. So ideally, you'll do them 4 or 5 times, and you should see the entire question bank for that chapter. So then for the exam, you'll have, I believe it's 3 chapters per exam. So you would take each of the 3 quizzes, 4 or 5 times, and that would be one of your best ways to study. Even if you get a good grade on the first exam or first quiz, first time you take it multiple times. It'll keep your highest score. So for example, if you scored 100% on your first quiz and you got an 80% on the second quiz because it has different questions, you would still have the 100%. You would keep the highest grade. So take it multiple times, see the questions, see all the questions that are potential on the exam. We're not going to do in-class quizzes. That's just if we were doing face-to-face. We're not going to be doing that. All right, this is just my grading communication style. On-time policy, right? So I go by the timestamp in the Blackboard. And I guess I don't have it as far as, I don't have the penalty. All right, so I didn't update this, so that's fine. Let's see. Submission. All right, so this way I set this up is, yeah, I guess I'll be accepting late submissions. Yeah, there's going to be no penalty, so that's my fault there. So, but I will not accept anything after week 15. So. There will typically be no makeup exams because I give you over a week right now. Actually, all the exams are open, so you could take them. So I don't feel that there should be a reason, unless there's a technical reason and we use Proctorio, which is a proctoring software. If there's some reason something were to technically go wrong, with accessing the exam or something of that nature, or internet outage on your end, in the middle of the exam, that might warrant a makeup exam, and I'll work with you to schedule it. You usually will be later in the semester, or maybe even that next week, if we can do it, but. I will work with you on certain things, but typically, there's should be no reason for a makeup, hopefully, but every once in a while there's a glitch with technology. You gotta love it, right? So extra credit, I don't give ad hoc extra credit to individual students. If I do extra credit, it's for the entire class, because otherwise it wouldn't be fair. So please don't ask. I do have some extra credit opportunities. It's not many. I think for the introduction, if you post a picture, and we'll get into that, and there's some extra credit options for that. Of course, you have to attend. Right now, because we're on the online status, though, I will not be dropping anybody for attendance. So if you just decide not to attend anymore, and you hit the 15% of the classes, normally we if we couldn't reach you or talk with you, some instructors will drop you. We're not doing that right now during this time period. At least I'm not. And my chair and that has kind of asked us not to. So we're not dropping students for lack of attendance. So if you want to be dropped, you need to drop yourself and withdraw. So I will not be dropping anyone for failure to attend. It's still, you'll be marked as absent and all that, but I will not drop you. Scholastic dishonesty, right? Just, do your own work. Don't plagiarize, cheat, collude. If you're using something from the internet, cite it. If you're caught, the first result will definitely, I'll be giving you a 0. And then more serious, or repeated offenses will be then referred to the appropriate college authorities and go up for disciplinary review. Just don't do it. Student accessibility resources. Sure, no problem. SARs, if you have any of these or need any accommodations, please feel free to reach out to me. I will accommodate as best I can. It is online, so there are limits to what we can do, but definitely I will work with you in any way that I can. If you have a preferred name, please let me know. I will try to use it when we have our interactions in that. And then you can also request a preferred name at the registrar's office and doing the record maintenance form, and they can update it so that you have a preferred name that will be listed in our rosters. I'm legally required to report the following, right? There's the new law that if I hear of or know of or become aware of any sexual misconduct or anything of that nature, I do need to report this. And I have to report it. I cannot not report it. But please, feel free if there is anything, if you need to talk to me about anything, I'm still open. It's just please know that if I become aware of it, I do need to report it. So that is now a law. And then, right, and if you want to keep it confidential, you need to request to speak to a licensed counselor at the TCC campus or contact an off-campus crisis center, somebody like that they don't have to report under the law. But please, if you do need help, please reach out. I'd rather you reach out. But just know that I'm legally required to report. Classroom conduct is really not going to be relevant because we're online. Although just be respectful, and so we come to class. Please do the reading of the material, read the chapters and that, and be able to partake in the class. Hopefully we'll have a lot of people online here, but this is recorded too, but hopefully we can have some good discussions going forward throughout the year. And so that's our syllabus. All right, the calendar. So I try to have everything in the calendar, at least that everything that's due. Like I said, right now everything is due on Sundays of the week. I do make a pact with my students. If it's not on the calendar, it's not due, right? So if it's on the calendar, then it is due, and other than maybe exams, but actual homework assignments, if it's in the calendar, then it's due. If it's not on the calendar, it's on me, and then I'll have to just discard it. But everything should be in there, should be in the calendar when it's due. So I've tried to make that as a useful tool. I'm gonna. Is there a way to print out the calendar, a way to print out the due dates for each assignment? Very good question. Let's see here on the calendar. Not an easy way. That I'm afraid it's not going to be easy. Create a new event. Yeah, that would be nice. It doesn't look like, I mean, you could print it as a web page, but it's not really going to be very helpful because it's not going to show anything. That would be nice, but no, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, no, yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice to be able to have a print calendar button. Yeah, but. All right, so I'm gonna skip the lessons real quick. I'm gonna go. So the course room should just be a link to our team channel and then our classes. So you should be able to get here easily. The discussion board. Really. Yeah, so, all right, so we have the Ask Me discussion board. So this is where you can ask questions to me or even your classmates. And you can ask them anonymously. So even I won't know who asked the question. So this is a good place to go if you have a question. It's very quick to get my attention because I do get an email regarding these, and so this is a good way to ask a question that then I can answer and everybody in the class can see the answer to the question. But also feel free to email me or message me in Teams or Google Hangouts or whatever method is more convenient for you. So that's the Ask Me discussion board. We have the introductions. This is where I did say if you post a picture in your introduction, you get some extra credit points, 50 points. And then if you make your avatar have a picture, you get 50 points. And what's an avatar, if some of you don't know, right? And we'll go in here. This right here is the avatar. So see Sebastian here, he's got his photo on the avatar, but Anthony does not right now. And in order to put it on there, if you go up to your name at the top right corner and do the drop down arrow and go to settings, and then personal information, and then personalize my settings, you can upload your avatar there. That's how you do that. All right, let's go switch to the other class. Go back to discussion boards. And you add an avatar in Teams. That is a good question. I imagine, let's see here, that might be in Microsoft. Yeah. Let's see here. I wonder if we go. Oh, that's only staff. Never mind. Measure. Let's see. Click your initials above the chat, and there's an option for change profile. Thank you, Adam. All right. All right. Initial above the chat. Okay. Thank you. All right. So yeah. So go there in the profile and change it. And then for our discussion board threads, right? Try to put a decent, 200-word length. Let me see, what am I doing here on this one, right? So, for each chapter, you're gonna basically come up with 2 items you found interesting, or you found something you didn't know, and then write about that in 200 words, and then you're gonna respond to 2 of your classmates with a 50-word response, so, just, that's great, or yeah, I agree too, it isn't enough, right? So put a little more meat into your responses, and then we'll do that. That is mainly the main homework assignment. All right, we did the ebook. All right, so then lessons. So weeks 1 through 4, we're going to be working on chapters 1, 2, and 5. Then week 4 will be the exam. Weeks 5 through 8, chapter 6, 7, and 12. And then the exam is week 8. We'll have our spring break. And then weeks 9 through 12, we'll do chapters 3, 4, and 8. And then week 12, we'll do the exam. And weeks 13 through 15, we'll do chapters 9, 10, and 11. And we'll do the final on week 16. So there won't be a exam that just covers chapters 9, 10, and 11. Yeah, the exams will use Proctorio, yes. The quizzes will not, except for the first practice quiz. So we'll just go in here, each folder. So then week 1. So this is where the lectures and videos and slides will go. Right now it's the slides. I'll put the link to this recording, and then the one that we have on Wednesday, I'll put them in here. This is where you'll find those for each week. Assignments, labs, discussions, projects, anything that's due for the week should be located in this assignments, labs, discussions folder. So this week, right, we have the lab access. You should be setting up your lab access and then do a screenshot that you're in the into the labs. So this is where you would go, purchase the labs, then go to JB Learning, use your 10-digit redeem code that they give you. And then once you do that, you'll enter in or search for my course, which is this 35B4E2. And then, like I said, you'll take a screenshot that you're in the right lab and that you have access. Also, the introductions discussion thread is due, and then the chapter 1 discussion thread is due Sunday. All right. So like say things that are due will be in this assignments labs discussion folder. Things that you should be working on or not quite yet due, could not upload the screenshot. Okay. We can talk about that offline, Charles. Yeah. Quiz is not due, right? So quizzes don't have a due date, and you can do them over and over. That's why it's not in the due folder, because there is no real due date on a quiz. Although you should take the quiz before you take the exam, and you should take the quiz multiple times. And print screen, did you do a Windows button and print screen? Right, so yeah, the quiz, that's why it's outside of the labs folder, is it's not technically due. It's just, these are things that you should be doing or thinking about. If they're outside of the assignment lab discussion folder, it's still something that you need to take into account and you should probably be doing or working on. Just like this Proctorio check quiz. This is something I think it's probably due the next week or whatever. We'll check here in a second. But this just checks and makes sure Proctorio is working. And here's how you get it. You need to use Chrome when you take your exams, excuse me. And you go get Proctorio by going to getproctorio.com. I already have it, but so it's already installed. If it wasn't, you would have a button to install it, and you just go through it and it would install. If you need help, they do have a support line, and you can also email them at support@Proctorio. Really, there's not a whole lot I can do with it. There is a guide here on the Proctorio, but it's just a plug-in for Chrome. There's really not much to it. It either works or not. One thing though, sometimes you have to go up to extensions, and then they changed it now. Manage extensions, and then you might have to turn it off and then turn it back on. So that sometimes happens a lot with Proctorio, is it'll be installed, but it won't work. And you'll know it's not working is if you go in here Wow. All right. So yeah, I just messed up something. All right. There we go. So now I can see it again. And then if you click on the exam or quiz, and if it comes up and asks for a password, then Proctorio is not working. If you get prompted for taking a quiz or a test, and it prompts you for a password, it's because Proctorio is not installed, or it is installed but it's not working. And then you just need to go up here, go to Manage Extensions, and then turn Proctorio off and on if it's already installed, and then that'll enter in the password. But so this is just a test quiz. I just want to show you there's nothing to this one. So see this prompt right there, it'll go away because I have Proctorio installed. But if it wasn't working, it would stay there and ask for a password. But so so this is a very simple quiz. Can you read this question, true or false? What's your goal in IT, and how does this course help you? And then third, and what do you hope to get out of the course, right? So there's nothing major, right? You do have to have Chrome installed, and so, but that's one of the things that hopefully, if they get the cloud TCC working, you could do that. If you didn't really have to want Chrome installed, you could do the test. Well, no, you couldn't do the test from there. Sorry, never mind. Forget what I was just saying, because you would need your webcam. So yeah, you will need Chrome. If you don't want to install Chrome on your machine, you could check out a Chromebook from the library. So they do have Chromebooks, limited number of Chromebooks, but they do have Chromebooks that you can check out for exams. All right. And that's all for week 1. Let me go. All right, week 2 doesn't have anything. All right, so lab 1 is due at the end of week 2, so please make sure that you get the labs up and running this week. But try to see, you may not have one in this, but lab 4, chapter 5. Yeah, and the labs won't go in order either. I try to line up labs with the chapters as best I could. They're not going to be perfect. I guess I never did make the Proctorio due. Yeah, I didn't make it due. All right, but please do that. Not to work ahead if you have the ability. Nope, there's no reason at all, Adam. Feel free. You can definitely work ahead. Everything is fairly laid out. It just, you won't have access to the video lectures and all that, but working ahead on labs and chapter work and all that, you know, exams, you know, you're feel free. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is for this, because I changed books. I don't have pre-recorded lectures for this. So this is the TCC Plus book that they would rather us use. So this is my first time using this book. So I don't have pre-recorded lectures for it. So, but yeah, feel free to work ahead. Only purchase I need. Yes, the labs are the only purchase that you need for the class. Yeah. Well, actually, you did purchase the book, but it got purchased when you registered for the class. Right. Attendance. Right. Attendance is basically every Sunday. Yeah, we have assignments due. If you turned in any assignments by Sunday of that week, you'll get attendance for that week. Right. So week 1, I have in the assignments folder, you have the lab access. So you know, do a screenshot that you have lab access. Do your introductions or do your chapter 1 discussion. If you do any one of those, or hopefully all of them, but if you do any one of those by Sunday, you'll get credit for attendance. We will see, right? So the lecture on Wednesday is a placeholder. We'll see how far we get through things. Yeah, so Monday and Wednesday at 11. You know, we'll probably have one definitely this, you know, tomorrow, because I don't think we're going to want to go too long into the lecture today. You know, so we'll definitely have one tomorrow to break this up, because there's a lot of information that we got to go through this, and so I don't think everybody wants to stay on here for another hour or two. To go through the chapter, but we'll go through some of it a little bit here, but then we'll finish it up on Wednesday, and then we'll play it by ear each week. I mean, I'll probably jump on Wednesdays, but we may or may not have a lot to go through depending on how we got through on the Monday. But Wednesday should normally be shorter. Yeah, you do have to buy the labs. Yeah. There's a link in there on how to buy them, and yeah, they're 10 labs. They're pretty good, but you access them through the JB Learning website. So this jblearning.com, and then. And then once you would redeem your code, well, once you bought them, but you know, you'd redeem them, but then you would sign into them. Oh, geez. All right. Can you see this web page? I hope I shared the monitor, not the VM. Can you see the JB Learning web page right now? Yes. Okay. All right, and then we'll go into our class, and then a launch. And then you'll have, here's the labs, lab 2, lab 3, lab 4, and lab 10. But yeah, you do have to purchase them from the JB Learning, and then you'll log in here and you'll be doing them. So like this one's performing reconnaissance and probing using common tools, right? And so it's got a lot of information. I will go over it, you know, more in details, but you do need to buy them. from the JV Learning. And let's see here. And go back. And it's this link right here under the lab access. Yeah, I do. They're expensive. I hate that, but it's what they use. So it's $119.95. Yeah. Yeah, they're quite expensive. Right. Yeah. I wish they were cheaper, but all right. This prep is for. This class will actually teach you pretty much everything you really need for the Security Plus. Yeah, nothing in IT is cheap, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, when you think about it, you're charging you $12 a lab or something like that. I mean, it's they're kind of expensive, but yeah, but they are fairly good labs. But yeah, nothing in IT is cheap. All right, so I think, all right. So yeah, so lab access, the introductions, and the chapter 1 discussion board are due this week. Something about security. Yeah, Security Plus. This course, while not 100% aligned, I mean, it goes over the material that you would need a good understanding for the Security Plus. It'll it covers a good section of the Security Plus course exam. I mean, that's where this fundamentals of network security, information security, will highlight and cover a lot of the material that would help you go and take the Security Plus. I mean, obviously, you would still need to do some studying and that, but this definitely covers a lot of, I mean, basically the material that you would find in the Security Plus. And speaking of which, though, I do have a study session group. I'll bring this up again probably in 2 weeks. I have a study session group for the Security Plus, just for those that are interested in taking the Security Plus. And then we'll go over more in detail and go actually section by section of what the Security Plus covers. But yeah, this is a good course to cover for Security Plus. It's good information that after you take this, if you studied, you should be able to knock out the Security Plus. All right. Okay, so that is all the housekeeping. Let me see, I believe that's all the housekeeping stuff. I think we could actually get into some content here. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that is everything we want on that. So let's actually get into chapter 1. Now this is going to be the way I'm going to have to do this. All right. All right. Get set up here. All right. Can you see the PowerPoint with chapter 1 displayed? Okay, great. Great. All right, so in this chapter, we're going to do some basic history and some introduction to what information security is. Let's see here. Yeah, so enterprise information security is a critical business capability, right? It definitely needs to be aligned with our corporate expectations and culture, and it provides our leadership an insight to identify risk and implement effective controls. So, I mean, that's a lot. Just to say that it's definitely important, right? We definitely need our enterprise information security, but there is also a trade-off, right? You can you can sometimes the best security is not what the business needs, right? So there's business drivers, and then there's security drivers. And so as a security analyst, it would be your job to try to figure out the best way to meet business value and business drivers while being the most secure that you can. But you can't just secure things and lock things down so far that the business can't run, right? Because realistically, the only secure machine, do we have to stay on? Oh, no, right. You don't have to stay on. It's just to your benefit, but yeah, you can watch the recording. Yeah, feel free. But as I was saying, so to make a server secure, right, there is no such thing as a secure server, in my opinion, unless, of course, you dig a hole 50-foot deep, throw the server in, and fill it with concrete. Then you could probably say then you have a secure server, because there's always going to be some way in or some potential. Yeah. And so I do joke about that, but of course that wouldn't be very useful for anybody, right? I mean, it's filled with concrete, no connection, not running. It's not going to do us any good, but it's secure, right? So we got a balance. There's a balance, and then we need to figure out how to best enable the business and yet still be secure. So way back in the early days, we had these big rooms full of computers called mainframes, and there are still mainframes that are in existence today. Many financial companies have mainframes that run code that's so old that nobody really knows what it does. It just it works, and they're afraid to touch it. It's kind of scary. But we first started getting into knowing about security, and we definitely were learning a lot. So security wasn't top of mind when we first started out, unfortunately, but we have been learning quickly that we need it. So way back when, though, we had code breaking computations during World War II, when we had the first modern computers. So we'll talk about that and the encryption and the code breaking that was involved in that, just to get a little idea, a glimpse of where security came, our beginnings came from, right? And then, of course, you have your actual computers, but then you have physical controls, physical security, limiting access to the actual device. That can be as important as your logical security and your software security. And then just protecting against physical theft, espionage, sabotage. So we're just going way back. By 1968, right, we introduced and discussed password security, right? Sharing computer systems, it really wasn't a big issue up until then, and so, things would just come up on. So sharing computer systems was a big document and key date at 68. In 1970, there was a major report, identifying the need for computer security, right? Because like I said, we really were slow to get on this, and it quickly got out of control. 73, need for additional security for military systems is examined, right? 75, we have our DES, Digital Encryption Standard, right, in the Federal Registry. So we're actually looking at encryption standards. And today, if you were to use DES encryption, it would be considered very insecure, and does not meet our criteria for a secure system anymore. 78, there was a project to understand vulnerabilities of operating systems and first attempts to automating the detection of vulnerabilities, i.e. our vulnerability scanners and that. So this is our first concept of kind of thinking into that. 79, secure user IDs and security groups were discussed on Unix systems, right? 82, the Rainbow series of trusted computer security documents is published. This is a 6-foot tall stack of books, and each book has a different color for each topic, with the orange book was the main book, but they've now been replaced with a common criteria evaluation, the CCEVES. But so the Rainbow books, though, for a long time, they were your resource for security and how you should be implementing things. And then also in 82, the Unix operating system security report covering 4 major areas: physical controls, management, education, administration process came about. 84, we had file security in the Unix systems, points out that there's no technique that can be secured against the system administrator or privileged users. Right, so that's basically just saying, if you got an elevated user, somebody with admin rights or privileged access, it's really hard to secure against them, right? Because you've given them access, right? So it's hard to protect against them. 1992, the Internet Engineering Task Force basically created the what is now known and developed into IPSEC, and we'll talk about IPSEC going forward. But it was a way to encrypt transmissions because our networks were inherently insecure. By default, our normal networks go in the clear. There's nothing protecting them. TCP/IP, which the internet runs on, basically was inherently flawed. There was no security built in, right? None whatsoever. So IPSEC is one option for securing the network. IPv6, our newest version of TCP/IP, has security built in and uses IPSEC by default. So here is a picture of what is called the Enigma, right? It's an encryption device used by Germany during the war. And it was highly effective in encrypting messages and that could not be decrypted for the longest time. We'll discuss more of this the study of cryptography in Chapter 8, but this is the early beginnings of what's known as cryptography and encryption, and how we can secure things using mathematical equations. But this was a physical device that the Germans had that did help them secure their messages for their troops for a long time until we broke it. That's one of the big reasons we were able to win the war, by being able to break this enigma. So the Allies were finally able to crack it. The first versions in 30, and during World War II, the later version of the Nebula was broken, right? All right, so in the 60s, right, ARPA, right? So during the 60s, the Department of Defense Advanced Research began examining the feasibility of a redundant network communication systems designed to support the military's need to exchange information, right? And Larry Roberts, known as the founder of the internet, developed the project from its inception, right? So he's basically the founder there of the internet. Because that's what the ARPANET turned into, is what we now know as the internet. Yeah, this is just a document, a program, June 3rd, 1968. Look at that, the ARPANET program plan. All right. Sorry, just day after I was born, so the internet was born. All right. So it grew in popularity. Also, it had potential for misuse. It had some fundamental problems. Security wasn't designed in it. There was no real safety for dial-up connections into ARPANET, because at that time, most people would dial in, right? We didn't have any of these always-on connections. You would actually use the phone lines to connect computers together. And let's see here, the non-existence user identification or authorization to a system. Like I said, they were very lax in security when they first came out. All right, hold on here. All right, and then the RAND report, R609, right, started the study of computer science and identified the role of management and policies issued in it, right? Talking about how to securing data, limit random and unauthorized access to data, and involving personnel from multiple levels of an organization. So here's a more descriptive picture, right? So you have files on the one end. Yep. Oh, geez. I don't think I have my mouse cursor available in this mode. All right, so on the left-hand side, you've got files, right? And you got the processor, or the hardware, the software, operators. Oh, thank you. Oh. Did we get them in? Okay, good. Thank you, Jacob. All right, so you have all these different actors and options, the operator, maintenance man, the system programmer, then you had the switching center, and then you had crosstalk. So communication lines, you can get what's known as crosstalk between the lines, and that can cause interference, or you can also, somebody could possibly eavesdrop on your communications lines and hear and know what's going on or going through the lines. So crosstalk was a big issue when we first started, and it still can be. But as we go to fiber, that kind of eliminates that issue. But with the regular twisted pair lines, crosstalk can be a big issue. And then when you're talking about back in this days, you're even talking thicknet and some other older cable styles, which were very susceptible to crosstalk. All right, then we had the early focus, this multiplexed information and computing services, or Multex. It was the first operating system created with security integrated into core functions, right? And so the mainframe is a concept of a time-sharing OS. So you would get the machine for free, but you would pay for how many CPU cycles, how many seconds you used of the CPU, and you would rent time on the CPU, and you would get your time slots on the CPU, and you would pay for 1,000,000 instructions per second, or MIPS. And that's how the mainframe works, is it does these time slices, and it does millions of instructions per second. I mean, it's that fast, but but you would pay for how many millions instructions per second that you would use, and multiple areas or companies could possibly share a device, But then Multex, the key players that created Multex then eventually created what's known as Unix, and the primary purpose of Unix was for text processing, and then of course Linux kind of mutated, an offshoot from Unix. So that's kind of the progression there. That microprocessors expanded computing capabilities and security threats. So, and that is very true. We had the mainframes. It was a very centralized location, and all the processing and data pretty much stayed in the mainframe area in the data center, and you would have what are dumb terminals out and about. And then you got the microprocessor, and we went to the client server mode, where you had some processing power at the desktop level, and then you still had some files and stuff at the network level or on the servers. And then now we're kind of going back a little bit, where we're doing a lot of these cloud concepts and most everything, and some of these serverless concepts of the cloud, and that are very reminiscent to a mainframe. And you're renting time of CPU cycles on a machine, because you have all these virtual machines. So I kind of find it interesting that we're kind of going full circle. All right, so then in the 90s, right, networks of computers became more common, and so did the need to connect them to each other, right? The internet became the first global network of networks, and it's based on the de facto standard. I mean, it just, anybody and everybody can connect, and it's just this hodgepodge of networks. And security was treated as a low priority still, right? In the 90s, it was more about speed and trying to get things out and connected, and everybody, thought they were secure, but it really wasn't focused on, not like it should have been. 93 DEF CON conference established for those interested in information security. So finally, in 90s, security is starting to get some traction, but the horse has already left the barn, really. But we're getting better. But it's kind of hard to bolt on security after the fact. So then 2000 to present, right? The internet, is bringing millions, billions of unsecured network devices that can communicate with each other. Ability to secure computers' data influenced by the security of every computer to which it's connected, right? So you can only make it so secure compared to what you want access to, right? So yeah. And then we've got growing cyber attacks, and has increased awareness and need for improved security. So even nation states are engaging in information wars, which that's even more dangerous. That we're getting countries and nations that are hacking each other and have pretty unlimited budgets. So it's getting harder and harder to defend our networks. Because there's full-time security, not just nation states, but even organized crime. They do nothing but spend time and resources trying to circumvent our security. And then, like I said, a lot of our security has been bolted on after fact, and it gets very difficult sometimes to make a secure network. All right. So a state of being secure and free from danger or harm, the actions taken to make someone or something secure, right? That security, right? So trying to make something secure. Someone else trying to get in? Okay. All right. Successful organizations should have multiple layers of security in place to protect, right? So, you'll hear that throughout, I imagine, through this book and through this course, is the layers of security or layers of defense. So you're going to have multiple devices in multiple areas and multiple avenues that you need to secure. So you'll have, you'll have not only a firewall, you'll have an intrusion prevention or a detection system. You'll have logging and things of that nature, and then other tools and utilities that you can use to capture the network traffic and scan it. Things of that nature. You're going to have multiple layers. You're going to have access rights on certain things, like even just the physical infrastructure, right? Who's allowed in? You may have physical security guards and badges, right? You're always going to have multiple layers of defense to make things secure. All right. So CIA. The CIA triad or triangle is a cornerstone of security, right? So CIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And so between those three lenses, if you will, we can do most security, although they're saying that this model is inadequate, but I've looked at their newer models, and it really it's up for debate. I think somebody just wanted to create a new model, but with confidentiality, right? It's your privacy. You're trying to keep things from being discovered. You don't want to, like social security numbers or credit card numbers, are good examples, right? You want to keep those private and confidential. So you have that type of security. You have integrity, so that somebody can't change things, or so that it's always working the way it's supposed to be working. You want to ensure the integrity of something. or you want the availability to be able to access it, and then only those that need access can access it, right? So between the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, you pretty much can sum up or create pretty much any security posture. They do add some other things, and so, you got your governance policies, data security, computer security, and network security, things of that nature. But it still falls under these pillars of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. They're the cornerstone. Yeah, I mean, you can answer most questions on the CISSP if you know the definitions of these, and knowing what concept is pertinent in the question, right? So in the Certified Information System Security Professional, the CISSP, it's the step above the Security Plus. When I took that exam, you had to know confidentiality, integrity, availability to a very crucial level, so that you knew if a question was talking about being out in the desert, right? It was an availability question, and so that was the key to that question. And then so you would look for the availability answer, because there would be 3 right answers for every CISSP question. One was geared towards confidentiality, one for integrity, one for availability. And you needed to know what type question did it focus on. It was just really absurd, but it was a crazy test, and it's a 6-hour exam, and it's probably the most brutal exam I ever took, but it solely was targeting on these 3 pillars, but at a very, very major level. And then we're just talking about the triad, right? So these are very important aspects of security. And between them, like I say, most security solutions or answers or exams might fall into where, if you have an understanding of these, you could probably have a good shot of doing well. All right, so 323, what? Slide 22. All right. So then we've had the key information security concepts. We'll get through these 3. I think we'll probably end it here. But so we have access, a subject or object's ability to use or manipulate, modify, or affect another subject or object. That's your access, right? An asset is a resource, that is being protected, right? It could be files, it could be hardware, it could be people, right? But it's a resource that's being protected. An attack, an intentional or unintentional act that can damage or otherwise compromise information and the systems that support it. Controls, safeguards, or countermeasures. So these are security mechanisms, they're policies or procedures that successfully counter attacks, reduce risk, resolve vulnerabilities, or otherwise improve security within an organization. So a lock on a door, that's a control, right? So that's, controls, safeguards, or countermeasures are kind of similar in the same aspect. But there's something that's protecting against successful attacks. Exploit, technique used to compromise a system. Exposure, a condition or state of being exposed. A loss is a single instance of an information asset suffering damage or destruction, unintended or unauthorized modification or disclosure or denial of use. So, you basically, you lost something, right? Protection profile or security posture is a set of controls and safeguards that the organization implements to protect the asset. So it's not just a single control, but it's a set of controls, a configuration, or I guess profile, configuration, posture, that could all be synonymous. Risk, the probability of an unwanted occurrence, right? So that's your risk. What are the odds of a tornado hitting down right here? The probability, that's the risk, right? The threat will go down to here. That's the category of objects, people, or other entities that represent a danger to an asset, right? So the threat would be the tornado, but the risk is what's the likelihood, what's the probability, of it occurring. Subjects and objects, they're just going to be an agent or entity that can conduct an attack or be the target of the attack, right? Threat agent, a specific instance or a component of a threat. And vulnerability, weakness or fault in a system or protection mechanism that exposes information to attack or damage, right? So you have a bug in the software, right, that allows escalation of privilege in that. So that's the vulnerability, right? The threat is somebody can take advantage of that bug, and the risk is how likely is that what's the probability of somebody be able to pull it off? What level of expertise do they need? What tools do they need? How can they get access to it and exploit it? Right. So those all come together. And then computer can be a subject of an attack, or it can be the object of the attack, right? When it's the subject, it's used as the active tool. It's conducting the attack. When it's the object, it's the target. It's what's being attacked, right? So it can be a subject or the object. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think we got almost 3:30 here. We're at slide 25 out of 70, so I think we're at a good stopping point. We'll catch this up, slide 25 on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So, and then so we'll meet tomorrow at 11, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, Wednesday at 11. So yeah, so we'll meet tomorrow at 11. We'll finish up the chapter 1. Do apologize. I know it's been a long day here, and we're just doing a lot of this basic intro to security level. So we'll get into some more interesting details, hopefully in future chapters. But this chapter is definitely some just introductory concepts. So we'll get there. Any questions or anything that I need to recover, or any observations? Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Right. We access the recorded lectures again. Sure. So under lessons, and then in each week, there's a video lecture folder. So week one, I'll go into week one and I will post them into this lectures, video, and slides folder. You're very welcome, Oscar. Yeah, and so right here with the slides for chapter one, that's where I'll post the video. Use Windows specific applications. No, not necessarily. The labs themselves are self-contained VMs and things like that, so you'll be fine. But yeah, I don't believe that you'll be required to use anything Windows. You're very welcome. Yeah. Labs are VMs, access to the web. It's kind of, yeah, it's its own lab environment. They're not really VMs, but it's their own. I mean, they are kind of, but it's its own virtual environment. But it's access through the web. Yeah. But they're not full VMs either, though. Right. So for the lab access, so right. So when you do, when you do any assignment, really, you just click the title of the assignment in the due folder. So if I go here in week one, and the assignments, and so lab access is due here. So why is that not? Okay. Hold on. Right. Oh, be darn. Charles, are you still on? I'm guessing that so, huh? You have promotion code. I wish I did. Charles, is that what you're talking about? You can't click on this. So I messed up on this. So let me. I'll have to fix this for both. All right, I will fix it. I'll put it in here, and you'll just click on the title. In fact, yeah, I'll have to do it when I'm not online here. I'll fix that. Good catch. So yeah, I've got this in as a document instead of assignment. So I will fix that. You're very welcome. Yeah, but it'll be the title. Yeah, you'll just click on the title and you'll be able to upload it. But right now you can't. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm hoping we can go face to face in the, even in the summer or fall, yeah, because it is, there's a lot to be said for that. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Have a good evening. Yeah. Just want to know if I think we have to purchase them. Yeah, the labs who go this lab access. In fact, that I've got here in the week one, you'll go here and go to this website and purchase the labs. Yeah. And then once you purchase the labs, then you'll redeem the code at this jvlearnings.com. Yeah, thanks, Jacob. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. That way it starts building.